If you're moving to Nashville with kids, this may be the most important video you watch. Because here's what I see happen all the time. Families spend months researching neighborhoods. They compare home prices. They look at commute times. They find the perfect house. Then someone asks, what school are your kids going to? And suddenly they realize they started with the wrong question. Here's the deal. Nashville has one of the strongest private school networks anywhere in the Southeast. That's one of the reasons so many families relocate here. But every school is different. Different cultures, different academic approaches, different athletics, different campuses, different admission processes, and choosing the right school often changes where you should buy your home. I've had families come to Nashville convinced they wanted to live in one neighborhood. Then after we talked through schools, they end up buying somewhere completely different. Not because the first neighborhood wasn't great, but because another area fit their family's lifestyle so much better. That's what this video is about. I'm gonna walk you through many of Nashville's top private schools, what makes each one unique, what types of students tend to thrive there, and how your school decision can influence where you ultimately decide to live. Trust me guys, I've got 2 kids in private school and we've gone through the entire process, all the research, all the admissions, interviewing, all the things. I feel like I'm an expert in this, so let's jump in. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I'm Josh Anderson. I've spent my entire life here in Middle Tennessee, and my family's called this area home for generations. For over 20 years, I've been helping families buy and sell real estate across Nashville and Williamson County. And if there's one conversation that comes up over and over again with relocation buyers, it's schools. Families moving here from California, Texas, Florida, New York, Illinois, and just about everywhere else all ask the same question. Josh, what's the best private school? And my answer is always the same. There isn't one. There are a lot of outstanding schools here in Middle Tennessee. The key is finding the one that's the best fit for your child and your family. Because 2 schools may look almost identical on paper, yet offer completely different experiences once you step on campus. That's something rankings just can't tell you. Google can't tell you, Zillow definitely can't tell you, and over the years, I've watched school decisions completely change where families decide to buy. I've seen buyers fall in love with a home only to realize the daily drive to school just wasn't realistic. I've also watched families discover a school they absolutely loved and then completely change the direction of their entire home search. That's why I always encourage people to think about schools and real estate together. They're connected, and making those decisions together almost always leads to a better outcome. So today, we're gonna walk through some of the Nashville's best private schools. We'll talk about what each school is known for, the type of student who tends to thrive there, tuition, admissions, and how all of it fits into choosing the right neighborhood for your family. Let's get started. Before we get into the individual schools, I want to give you the big picture, because once you understand it, you're going to look at this decision completely differently. According to the Nashville Center for Education Statistics, roughly 1 out of every 5 students in Davidson County attends a private school. Think about that for a second. That's nearly double the national average. That tells you something about Nashville. Families here value education. A lot of the people relocating to Middle Tennessee are executives, business owners, healthcare leaders, entrepreneurs, people who've spent years intentionally building their careers. And they approach their kids' education with that same level of intention. Now here's what surprises a lot of relocation buyers. Nashville doesn't have one standout private school. It has an entire network of exceptional schools. You have all boys schools, all girls schools, co-ed college prep schools, faith-based schools, independent schools, and then you have another incredible group of schools throughout Franklin and Brentwood. Every one of them has its own personality, its own culture, its own admissions process, and its own strengths. And what makes one school perfect for your neighbor might make it completely wrong for your family. I've watched families arrive in Nashville convinced they already knew where they wanted their kids to go. Then they toured the campus, spent an hour talking with administrators, met a few students, met some parents, and walked away saying, this isn't what I expected. I've also seen the opposite happen. Families visit a school they knew very little about, and within 20 minutes, they look at each other and say, this just feels right. And that's something that rankings just can't tell you. That's something websites can't tell you. You have to experience it. And my goal today is to help you narrow down your search before you ever schedule those tours. Because the more focused you are going in, the better decisions you're gonna make. Now let's talk about the 4 schools that come up in almost every relocation conversation I have. If you're moving to Nashville from out of state, these are the names you're gonna hear over and over again. So let's go ahead and start with Montgomery Bell Academy, also known as MBA. MBA is one of the most respected independent schools anywhere in the Southeast. It's an all-boys school located in the West End area, and it's been shaping young men since 1867. According to rankings, MBA earns an A+ overall rating. The student-to-teacher ratio is 8-to-1, and 100% of graduates continue on to 4-year colleges. That is impressive. But here's something just as important. MBA isn't a school where you decide in November that your son's going to go in January. Admissions are competitive. Students complete the independent school entrance exam, and teacher recommendations are absolutely required. Academic records are reviewed. Interviews are part of the process. Planning ahead really matters at MBA. I've worked with families relocating from California who were surprised to learn the admissions process started months before they were planning to move. And that changes everything. Not just their school timeline, but also their home buying timeline too. That's why I always encourage buyers to start the school conversation early. Let's talk about Harpeth Hall. If MBA is one of the premier schools for boys, Harpeth Hall is certainly part of that conversation for girls. It's located just down the road in Green Hills. Harpeth Hall serves girls in grades 5 through 12, and it's built an outstanding reputation for academic excellence and leadership. According to College Transitions, the student-to-teacher ratio is 7-to-1. More than 80% of the faculty hold advanced degrees, and students consistently perform at a very high level in advanced placement coursework. Graduates continue on to schools like Vanderbilt, Duke, Georgetown, and many other top universities across the entire country. When I talk with Harpeth Hall families, academics aren't usually the first thing they mention. They talk about confidence, leadership, community. They tell me their daughters leave prepared not only for college, but for life. Next is University School of Nashville. Most people simply call it USN. It's a co-ed K-12 independent school located right next to Vanderbilt. It's consistently ranked among the very best private schools in Tennessee, and families who choose USN are often looking for a highly academic environment without a religious affiliation. It's rigorous, it's selective, and it attracts students from across the entire Nashville area. Because of its location, many USN families choose to live in Green Hills, Belmead, Forest Hills, and surrounding neighborhoods that make the daily commute easier. And finally, let's talk about Innsworth. Innsworth surprises a lot of relocation buyers. People moving here don't always recognize the name right away, but locally, it's one of the most respected schools in the entire market. Innsworth serves students from kindergarten through 12th grade. The student-to-teacher ratio is approximately 7-to-1. Class sizes are intentionally small, and graduates continue on to many of the country's top colleges and universities as well. The word I hear most often from Innsworth families is community. When families join Innsworth, they're not thinking about 4 years. They're thinking about the next 13. Parents build friendship, kids grow up together, and those relationships often continue long after graduation. All right, let's talk about something that surprises many relocation buyers: cost. According to the Nashville Association of Independent Schools, the average tuition at independent schools nationwide is around $31,000 per year. Many of Nashville's premier private schools are well above that. MBA is around $40,000 annually. Innsworth is approaching the mid-40s before you begin adding technology fees, activity fees, lunches, athletics, and all the other expenses. If you have 2 children enrolled, you could easily be investing close to $90,000 a year in education. That's a significant part of your family's financial picture. And it's exactly why I encourage buyers to think about schools and housing together, because your education budget and your housing budget shouldn't be 2 separate conversations. They should be one conversation from the very beginning. Now we've covered what many people consider Nashville's big 4, but they're far from your only outstanding options. In fact, some of the schools we're about to talk about end up being the perfect fit for families who realize they want something a little bit different. Now let's talk about a group of schools that I think a lot of relocation families overlook, and I think that's a mistake. Some of Nashville's most respected private schools are actually faith-based institutions with incredible academic reputations, deep traditions, and communities that families become a part of for generations. Let's start with Father Ryan High School. Father Ryan's been part of Nashville since 1925, and today it sits on a beautiful 40-acre campus in Oak Hill. It's a co-ed Catholic college prep school serving grades 9 through 12, and it's built a reputation for combining strong academics with an outstanding student experience. According to Niche, Father Ryan has a student-to-teacher ratio of 10-to-1 and serves more than 800 students from across Middle Tennessee. One thing that really stands out is the school's academic success. 96% of graduates continue on to four-year college. Students collectively earn tens of millions of dollars in merit-based scholarships every year. And with more than 24 advanced placement courses available, students have plenty of opportunities to challenge themselves academically. But here's what I hear most often from Father Ryan family. It's the sense of community. Students aren't just another face in the hallway. They're known, they're involved, they're supported, and that's something parents consistently tell me they appreciate. Another thing that surprises relocation buyers is how many different communities feed into Father Ryan. Students come from dozens of zip codes across Middle Tennessee. Families are willing to make the drive because they believe in the experience. All right, let's talk about St. Cecilia Academy. This school has one of the most remarkable histories in Nashville. It's founded in 1860 by the Dominican sisters. St. Cecilia is the oldest continuously operating private school in the entire city. Think about that. This school has educated young women through the Civil War, through both World Wars, and through every stage of Nashville becoming the city it is today. Today, it's an all-girls Catholic school serving grades 7 through 12 on a beautiful campus in the Green Hills area. Class sizes remain intentionally small, and the student-to-teacher ratio is around 10 to 1. And year after year, graduates continue on to outstanding colleges and universities. But numbers only tell part of the story. St. Cecilia has a culture that's built around leadership, service, faith, community, and preparing young women to make a difference long after graduation. I've had relocation buyers discover St. Cecilia late in their home search and say, how did we not know about this school sooner? That's why I wanted to include it today. Whether you're Catholic or simply looking for a values-based education with an outstanding academic reputation, St. Cecilia deserves to be a part of the conversation. And here's something else worth mentioning. Compared to some of Nashville's highest priced independent schools, both Father Ryan and St. Cecilia can offer tremendous value while still delivering exceptional academic, athletics, and student experiences. For many families, that's a combination that's definitely worth exploring. Now let's talk about two more schools that come up in relocation conversations all the time. The first is Lipscomb Academy, and Lipscomb's unique because it's connected directly to Lipscomb University. That creates opportunities very few private schools can offer. Students have access to university facilities, they can participate in dual enrollment courses, and many graduate with significant college credit already completed. That is a tremendous advantage. Lipscomb serves students from pre-kindergarten through 12th grade and is one of the largest private schools in Middle Tennessee. It's a Christ-centered school, but one thing many relocation families appreciate is that students come from a variety of church backgrounds and denominations. Families are drawn to the values, the academics, the athletics, and the sense of community. Another thing buyers appreciate is the tuition. Compared to some of Nashville's other premier private schools, Lipscomb often represents an outstanding value while still offering an exceptional educational experience. Let's head south to Franklin, because if you're looking in Williamson County, there's one school that comes up almost immediately. Battleground Academy, also known as BGA. BGA has been educating students since 1889 and continues to be one of the most respected independent schools in Middle Tennessee. It's a co-ed school serving kindergarten through 12th grade on a beautiful campus right in Franklin. One thing I really like about BGA is that it attracts families who value academic excellence while also placing a huge emphasis on community. Students build lifelong friendships, families become deeply involved, and traditions that have existed for generations continue today. The annual Greers vs. Plato's competition is a perfect example. If you talk to alumni, they'll still tell stories about it years later. That's the kind of school culture you can't create overnight. Academically, BGA continues to perform at a very high level, with graduates attending outstanding colleges and universities across the country. For buyers looking in Franklin, Brentwood, Thompson Station, or Spring Hill, BGA is almost always part of our conversation. And one thing families really appreciate is that choosing BGA often allows them to live much closer to school than if they were commuting in Nashville every day. That may not sound like a big deal today, but when you're making that drive twice a day for the next 10 or 12 years, trust me, it matters. We've covered some of Nashville's best known private schools. But before we wrap this up, I want to talk about something that's even more important than rankings or tuition. Because after helping families relocate here for over 20 years, I've realized the schools that end up being the best fit aren't always the schools people expected to choose. And let's talk about why. Let me pause here for just a minute because I want to connect a few dots. We've talked about tuition, we've talked about admissions, we've talked about different school cultures, we've talked about Nashville versus Williamson County, and here's what I hope you're starting to realize. This isn't just a school decision, it's a lifestyle lifestyle decision, because the school you choose is going to influence where you live, how long you're in the car every day, who your kids become friends with, what your weekends look like, and in many cases, the value of the home you decide to buy. That's why I encourage families to think about schools and real estate as one conversation, not two. If you're trying to sort through all of this before you move, I put together a free Nashville relocation guide that walks through neighborhoods, schools, commute times, and the different lifestyle across all of Middle Tennessee. You'll find the link in the description below. Download it before you start your home search. I think it'll answer a lot of questions before you ever get on a plane to visit. Now let's talk about the part of the process that catches more relocation buyers than anything else. Here's something I tell every family that moves here. Don't find the house first. Find the right plan first. Your school decision and your home decision are not two separate projects. They're one decision. Where you live affects your daily drive, your schedule, your lifestyle, and in many cases, your long-term home value. It's all connected. Think about where many of Nashville's premier private schools are located. MBA, Harpeth Hall, USN, Innsworth, St. Cecilia, they're all clustered around Green Hills and West Nashville. That's one reason luxury real estate in those areas continues to be so desirable. Families aren't just buying beautiful homes. They're buying convenience, they're buying time, they're buying easier mornings. Now here's another thing I want you to know. Timing matters, probably more than you think. The most competitive private schools in Nashville don't have open seats waiting for families who decide to move next month. Applications often begin nearly a year before enrollment. You'll likely need teacher recommendations, academic records, testing, interviews, campus visits. It's an entire process. I've had families call and say, "Josh, we found the perfect house." Then we start talking about schools and they realize they already missed the admissions window they were hoping for. That is a frustrating conversation, and it's one you can avoid with a little bit more planning. That's why I always tell buyers, start the school conversation before you start writing offers. It'll make your home search much smoother. If I were moving my own family to Nashville, these are the three things I'd do first. Number one, focus on culture before rankings. Every one of these schools offers an outstanding education. The bigger question is, where will your child thrive? Some schools feel more traditional, some are more entrepreneurial, some are more faith-based, some are more academically intense. There's no right answer, only the right fit. That's why I always encourage families to visit the campus, talk with administrators, watch students interact. You'll learn more in one visit than you will from weeks of online research. Second, drive the commute, not on a Saturday afternoon, on a Tuesday morning at 7:30, because a 20-minute drive on Sunday can mean 45 minutes during the school week. I've watched families completely change their home search after driving the morning route just one time. That drive becomes part of your everyday life. Make sure you're comfortable with it. And third, run your school search and your home search together. Don't pick the school, then find the house. Don't buy the house, then hope the school works out. Do both at the same time, because when those two decisions work together, everything else tends to fall in place. Nashville has one of the strongest private school networks anywhere in the Southeast. So what have we learned? Nashville has one of the strongest private school networks anywhere in the Southeast. Whether you're looking at MBA, Harpeth Hall, USN, Innsworth, Father Ryan, St. Cecilia, Lipscomb Academy, Battleground Academy, or one of the many other outstanding schools throughout Middle Tennessee, you really have some incredible options. Each school has its own strengths, its own culture, its own traditions, and its own community. The goal isn't finding the highest ranked school. The goal is finding the school that's the best fit for your child and your family. Because after helping relocation buyers for over 20 years, I can tell you this: the families who have the best experience don't necessarily choose the most expensive school. They choose the school where their kids feel like they belong. And that's a decision that pays dividends for years. If you're thinking about relocating to Nashville, Brentwood, Franklin, or anywhere else across Middle Tennessee, my team and I would love the opportunity to help. We don't just help families find homes, we help them understand the neighborhoods, the schools, the commute, and how all of those pieces fit together before they make one of the biggest decisions of their lives. If you haven't already, download our free Nashville relocation guide using the link below. It's full of information we simply couldn't fit into one video, and it'll help you start your search with confidence. And if you found this video helpful, I'd really appreciate it if you'd hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. Every week, we're sharing real insights about living, working, and relocating to Middle Tennessee. Thanks so much for spending some time with me today. I'm Josh Anderson. I'll see you in the next video. And remember, the right school can shape your child's future. The right home makes getting there a whole lot easier.